welcome to the Simple Dog Show. Today is day 2. But first, who enjoyed yesterday? So yesterday we had Tim Jackson. Oh God, Claire, what was your favourite bits about Tim's interview yesterday?
As I said yesterday, I enjoyed all of them. You know what I love most about Tim is that he's got such a happy-go-lucky, energetic vibe to him, and I would love to see him dancing with those dogs. I really would.
Yeah, definitely. It was, gave us all ideas, didn't they, to go away with some little things to have a go with. When he's talking about making use of the leaves, giving us all ideas to move away and have a go ourselves. So today I'm so excited about today's. I had so much fun interviewing this super lady who has got some great experience. Today we have Lawrie. She has 20 years of experience in the police, and she's going to be sharing with you all about scent as well. Are you excited, Claire?
Oh my God. Did you just say scent work?
Yeah.
Oh my God. If anybody doesn't know, I am certainly like getting a right excited mood when I hear about scent work because it's so freaking powerful.
Right, let's get going, guys. Let's dive in. Let's go. Super. So I am super excited to have me today, Anna. So I've known Anna for quite a while now, haven't I? I met you quite a few years ago. So to get you on here, get you chatting about your experience, which I know you've got loads of, is really good. So welcome. It's our Simple Dog interviews, our little bite-sized interviews we're sharing with people. So first of all, Anna, we'll start with a bit of introduction, a little bit about yourself, and a little bit about what you do as well.
Oh, well, that's a good question. That's a good way to start. So basically my name is Anna Lawrie. I am based in Scotland, but my background has been for the last 20 years, up till about 2 years ago. I retired as a police dog handler, and I was also a full-time instructor in the National Police Dog Training School for Scotland. So my background has been all working dogs, police dogs specifically, but the roles I've had in the time that I was there have been really broad. So it has varied from my own handling experience as a police dog handler with general purpose dogs, drugs, sniffer dogs, of my that I handled that were my own operational dogs. And those dogs that I had, I actually did loads of different things with them. So we did public order type of work. We did tactical firearm support work. But when I shifted from operational handler, I never really left that behind. But when I shifted to the instructor role, I was actually initially brought in to do a puppy development program. So puppy development program, puppy walker schemes, all those types of things. But predominantly, what I did teach was general purpose initial police dog training and puppy development. So we were always getting puppies ready for police work. And that's been really my background for the last, since 2002. Ta-da. Wow. And now, in the last maybe not quite 12 months, about 9-10 months, I've set up my own online dog training business. So that's what I'm now doing.
What's it called?
Genius K9. Genius K9 is the name of our business. And basically it's all based online and focusing on like really bringing the best of my experience from all that time in the police and sharing that in a really fun way, just with anyone and everyone. No, but basically people who love to train their dogs and just want to get great foundations. So that's where we focus mainly.
Fabulous. And that's what we're at Simple Dog are all about as well. Getting those foundations right and getting that engagement is so important. So we'll start with, what does engagement mean to you?
So engagement means to me I tend to use more the word connection as opposed to engagement. That's my own personal kind of terminology. For me, if I can get connection first and foremost, and that does, it's made up of a lot of different things. Engagement is one of them. And mostly it is, a lot of people talk about focus and these sorts of things. And a lot of it immediately conjures up focus must mean, I must have my dog looking at me or have an eye for me. When my working dog experience is that it's not that my dog has an eye for me or has to look at me, as long as they can have an ear for me. So whatever they're doing, that they can still listen to what I'm saying and respond to it, which is often a big challenge. It's a big challenge, and for anyone with a pet dog, that can be a big challenge. But for me, that forms the fundamentals of getting a great connection, great foundation. So yeah, that would be engagement for me. Not quite the word engagement, but more connection. And yeah, and very much a two-way thing. So it's not just all about me, you must do this and you must do that. It's got a teamwork feeling to it. So that very much comes from my dog handling experience. Very much was always our priority to build an amazing team, and it's still the same now. Even if it's a pet dog, working dog or pet dog, I'd do the same thing.
So you mentioned there was a few things when you think about connection, when you talk about connection, what are the other things?
So
like focus, like you say, but more listening rather than just looking.
Yeah. What I really love to do is build amazing engagement and connection. One of my biggest loves, and this is absolutely, I don't think it'll ever leave me, is developing interactive play with the dogs. So for me, that's a massive piece of the puzzle. Now a lot of dog training courses out there do sort of rely on that skill already being present. And I actually spent a long time over the years making those like being able to play with my dog really well so it feels natural, be able to give them rewards for my dog so it feels really natural. All these things have taken me quite a bit of time to sort of refine and work on as a skill in itself. So one of my first steps is always to try and develop amazing interactive play with the dogs so that we do get that kind of two-way. It's a great platform to develop two-way interaction and that kind of teamwork feeling. It's a great first step. So interactive play is a massive one for me.
So when you say interactive play, obviously some of our listeners will be going, oh, I'm not sure what she means by that. Do you mean you run around and they chase you while you've got a toy in your hand? You're going to chase your dog with a toy in your hand?
Ultimately, the way I would describe interactive play is that it is any form of play that involves you, where it's got some sort of two-way interaction, and it's a cooperative game. So it's not there's a little more to it than just sort of running around with a toy. There's a bit more thought, a bit more engagement, more permission based, so that it's not just wild and like off the charts and out of control. And through interactive play, we actually teach a lot of life skills, believe it or not, through some real fundamentals that actually can get transferred over to just everyday life. So interactive play for me is a big piece. If you want to use rewards for your dogs and have a positive interaction, build a positive based relationship, then it's a perfect way to, it's well worth spending the effort to get your interactive play games. And for everyone, it's going to be different. For everyone's dog, what your dog loves to do and finds reinforcing is going to be completely different to perhaps my dog. So, and that would be the same for anyone else kind of listening. So it's got to be specific to your own dog, and then spending a little bit of time getting the skills good so that your interactive play can be really, really cool experience. That's what I would say.
Well, I've got a couple of questions I've got to pick up on there. So if you give us a couple of examples, they go, let's choose your dogs. You haven't talked about your dogs. It's unusual.
My dogs.
Yeah, so talk about your dog and what's their favorite kind of like interactive play?
So it is actually a really good question. So I've up till the beginning of lockdown, I had 4 dogs, and now I've only got 2, unfortunately, and every single one of them was different. So for example, so I've got 2 working Cocker Spaniels now. I had 3 and a German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd and the other working Cocker were my actual retired police dogs. So if I take each of the ones I've got now, they're very, very different, even though they're the same breed. So for example, I've got Solar and Jess. I don't know if you've met them, but Solar and Jess, they're now 8, 9, and 6, so a little bit older. Jess is a more sensitive dog, and she likes to chase a little bit, but doesn't like to tug. It's very, very obvious. She'll chase it, and then she's like, gets a bit nervous about tug, but loves food rewards, and will play really well and will retrieve a food type toy. So that we've been able to use foods, play with food, and a massive interactive experience. And then food toys really complement that well. So I can play with food, like not just deliver it, make a real game out of just food delivery, which is again another skill in itself. But so she really comes alive when you play that type of game, any kind of movement, any kind of food related kind of thing, and it can be really high energy to low energy. So it's not always the same, always change it so that depending on what we're doing, I can get our energy up or I can keep her a little bit calmer. On the flip side of that, Solar, she's slightly younger. She actually really loves to tug. She loves to fetch. She loves to actually do stuff with you. So she'll actually do a lot of things that involve us. She's very people orientated. So our kind of favorite way to play is generally a frisbee, that type of thing. So maybe throw a frisbee at first, and then she'll want to tug it. She might not want to tug it straight away. So there's always a little kind of combination. It's like we're trying to work out the combination lock on a bike, and you're like, how do I crack the code to get really focus in on what my dog really loves? And it can take a little bit of time. Sometimes it's observation, sometimes it's a bit of trial and error. But noticing what they do love and then building that, because that can then become really, really valuable to you if you want to use that as a reward for anything that you're perhaps teaching your dog. So that's the kind of difference. So two same breeds, totally different though, totally different styles of play for both of them.
Yeah, it's really learning about what your dog likes, what they enjoy doing. I always say as well, it's good to look at what your dog has been bred to do. Look what they naturally want to potentially do. Doesn't mean they want to do it.
yeah yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you also talked about, when we talk about play, you can also teach lots of life skills. Can you give us some examples of life skills you can teach by using play? Just a couple.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, things like you can teach quite a bit of self-control through play. So for example, if you've got a dog that wants to, like, every time you open the front door, they just want to go and bolt through the door or through the garden gate or something like that, you can actually really simply, in a really clever way, teach them self-control through play. You can teach kind of
example how you do that for them, for people.
Yeah, I mean for me, it's a lot to do with permission-based cues. So I like to give my dogs I've got a little marker words that I use. So okay for my dog means what you're doing now, you can actually stop doing it and release them to do something else. So I can, if I tell them, okay, it's okay for you to get this toy, some rules around it, they don't just take it. That transfers perfectly over to when I open the door. You don't just go, you don't just take what you want, you wait for permission. I give them a permission cue, okay, you can go through the door. So it transfers really nicely across to real life. But that's just one. It could be getting in the back of the car into the crate. It could be releasing them from the crate in the back of the car if you use a crate, or even if you just open the car door or the boot door, which these are always like risky moments with anyone's dog. Is like if you're opening doors and gates and, you know, anything, crate doors, front doors, gate, anything, it's always a bit of a flashpoint as far as like what's my dog going to do here. Unless you're on a lead, you're never going to 100% know, but you can absolutely teach that really well and get really quite reliable control. So that would be a good example of one of them. But there's lots and lots of things. Can build confidence with play. You can build a lot of value for you, which is great for recall, all these sorts of things. So loads and loads of stuff.
Oh, fab, really fab. So I want to talk a bit more about your police dog work that you used to do.
Yeah.
So you used to do, was it puppy development program?
Yes, I
So
did. Yeah.
I'd love to know, because we're talking about a lot about foundations and stuff. So what sort of foundations would you be doing in your puppy development program so they could go on to potentially do the police work?
Yeah. So basically over time developed a program that would really if you think about, right, here's a secret a lot of people don't know, is that my police dogs don't know they're a police dog. It's a dog at the end of the day. So for me, whether it's a police dog or a pet dog, it should be exactly the same. Yes, I might be preparing them. I mean, essentially the difference is what the dog is capable of doing and willing to do, and that is the work part of it. But essentially the dog part of it, the working part is separate, but the dog part is the same to me. So really what we're looking to do is make sure that they are really confident, have great connection with us, really trust us, can work as a team, all these sorts of things. Are confident with the world, can understand our communication so that we are clear with our communication, that when things get exciting, they can control themselves a bit and still hear and think and do when life gets exciting. And really build amazing connection as well. So if we can get the connection first, that's what we aim to do. We always start with interactive play and building it, and also starting to reward great choices. So really when we do those first two pieces, that interactive play and rewarding great choices, what we find is that those two layers make connection really strong. It's a great start point. So we would always start there. And the secret is we don't rush it. What I found, certainly training police dogs, I had the beauty of over the entire time I was in the dog section, I had the beauty of seeing dogs go from puppy, like 8 weeks old, actually before 8 weeks old, because we did have a breeding program, but they could go from 0 to retirement. And most dogs retire between 8 and 10 years old, depending on what the job is that they do. So I had the luxury of seeing dogs, many hundreds of dogs, probably into the thousands, really, in the over that massive amount of time, to see which dogs did well across their life and which dogs had this kind of very like up and down kind of like, it's quite stressful, always fixing problems, behavior's been all right but not as good as some of the others. What was the difference between those? And the difference was 100% was that the foundations that we established at the beginning weren't something you did at the beginning and left behind. They were something that you put at the heart of your dog's training and you took it with you through their whole life. Because for us and for everyone else, really, the training, what happens when you have any dog, training and behavior is ever changing and it's ever evolving, and they do need different things at different stages of our life. But if you've got really good solid foundation, then and you do revisit it often, don't just leave it behind. Bye foundation, never to go back again. It's like, oh yeah, and never see. This is a good tip. This is my top tip. Never, if someone says to you, just go back to the foundation pieces, don't ever take that as a like punishment. Don't think, oh, that's me, got to go back to the foundation. No, the reality of it is all the best dog handlers that I taught and the ones that had the most success kept those foundations at the heart of their training. They did it often, but they also spent most of their time there right through the dog's life. So they did always keep it top. So that would be that's how we went about it, but at the beginning, but also how it remained part of their life. It wasn't just something we did at the beginning. Yeah, for sure.
It is so important, isn't it, to keep revisiting those foundations and just I think you said you rewarding the good choices, showing them what you want from them. I think people often think, I've done a puppy class, I'm done.
Yeah,
done 6 weeks.
done.
6 weeks. I'm done. It's all my dog training.
All good. It's all good. That's it. They're done. Yeah.
Oh, 1 moment. So my puppy has just puppy. She's 8 months old. Has just give me 2 seconds. You can have this. She's heard commotion around the house. So she's like, I'm awake. Can I do something now? Settle down with a chew. So, so what was I just saying? So not just going, I've done the foundations. You need to keep doing them. And this is coming from someone who used to work in police dog work, and getting them to keep going to get that better. You get a better dog, don't you? If you're taking them through and showing them all the time what you want from them.
Yeah, the secret for me of because if you're looking at this and you've got your own pet dog and you're listening to this conversation, you might be going, oh my God, I've got to train my dog for the entire life of the dog, and I don't know if I could do that. But the secret is to, one, make it fun. It can absolutely be done by making it a ton of fun. And actually, when you do that, by weaving it into your life as if it's just normal life, and actually it doesn't feel like dog training at all. That is the secret to that little scenario, because it can, a lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do that. But you totally can. And my dream for everyone is that they fall in love with like playing games with their dogs, just presenting training in a really cool way, so that honestly you get your eyes opened to the fact that dog training can be amazing fun. It is amazing fun, as long as you get the proper guidance. So a lot of people are like, oh no, I'm having all this problem with my dog, and the first question is, have you sought out a trainer yet? And really, we all need it. We all need it.
Sorry, she just wants to get out, so just letting her out.
She's gone. Bye.
Bye, puppy.
Bye.
Yeah, she's 8 months old though. She's not tiny. I've not just let a tiny puppy in the house. Getting a trainer and getting the right guidance is so important.
And something that actually feels good to you. So that's just something I would always say. Quite a lot of people that I speak to will say, I went to such and such a class, and I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it. It felt like, I think the word purgatory has been used a couple of times. It was like it felt like something they had to do because of as opposed to something that they love to do and they look forward to doing. If it feels like that, then get switch to something that does feel much more enjoyable, because honestly it's out there, it's just finding it. So if it feels good, then stick with that. If it doesn't, then think about changing something.
Don't try. You should, like you were saying, you should be easily be able to fit it into your daily lives, and it should be enjoyable and fun. And like you talked about teamwork a lot earlier, to be working as a team, doing this stuff together. All my dogs have decided to wake up. Typical, isn't it? So doing all that teamwork and stuff, and being part of a team. I've got 3 dogs at the moment, and I have we have different things. We talked about play earlier. We have different play together with different dogs. They enjoy the different things. Right. So I've got so many questions to ask you.
Oh, amazing. I love questions.
I know what you talk about. I've looked at your website, and I know you do this anyway, but you talk about connection through scent a lot. So I'd love to know how you use scent, how you use it to build that connection, and just know a bit more about what you're doing with scent.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was funny because when I first joined the dog section, I just wanted to work with dogs, right? I didn't realize in the grand scheme of things that I was stepping into this massive world of scent detection. I hadn't even thought of it in those terms before. So all I wanted to do was just work with dogs and catch criminals, basically, right? But yeah, what that basically led to was that you are entering a world that the dogs use predominantly than nose for 95% of the things that we do. And a lot of people will say, why do police dogs, how do you get that kind of connection with the police dogs? And I think it's 2 things. It's maybe 3 things, but two main things. One of them is the getting that great connection, foundation, teamwork piece in place, but also letting them use their natural ability to scent. You know, a lot of people say to me, how do I get my dog to stop sniffing? And to me, it's a bit of a strange question, because I'm like, it's a bit like saying, how do I get my goldfish to stop swimming?
Yeah.
It's like, it's what they do, it's how they communicate with the world. They need to do it. And what I found with working with police dogs and working in the world of scent is that there's a big part of their brain that is dedicated to scenting. And if you're always fighting against it, you'll never really win, really. You know, you'll always, it's something they do, it's something they love to do. If you can fulfill it, and I think, you know, the growth of scent detection work and scent work games in the pet dog world has been an amazing addition. I've been a big fan of it growing in the pet dog world, because it really wasn't, maybe, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, probably wasn't really seen much. It was just seen as a professional, something that professionals do. I love the fact that there's lots of people now delivering scent type classes, because it's fulfilling that need that the dog needs to do. And for me, it balances out, you know, what a dog naturally needs.
Yeah.
Now, the way we play scent games and the super sniffers courses we do, it's all game based. It's all about, again, building that team connection, and actually sort of opening pet dog owners' eyes to the fact that you can actually do this fun thing together, and they're not going to run off. It's actually, they stay. You actually do this thing together, and the dog actually, what we call it, kind of a magical moment of connection. When they find the scent, we teach the dogs to lie down at it, but basically they find it, and they just do that momentary glance at their owner as they lie down, and it's like bing. It's like that little magical moment of connection, and honestly, it's a delight to be able to share it. But it's a delight for, like, to see pet dog owners experience it, because they get this connection that they never had before, or they didn't think was possible, because, you know, their super sniffy dog all of a sudden can sniff, but actually you be part of it. So it's great to build connection, but it's also great to fulfill the dog's natural need as well. And I think it just gives them more balance in their day. I think it's a great thing to include in any dog's life. I think any dog should have it as part of their life to some degree. It doesn't have to be like, doesn't have to take over their life and then become a professional like ours were. But even if you had it as part, you know, because once they've learned to do it, they can do it pretty much forever. It's a bit like riding a bike. So it's like, you can learn the skill, you can just do it now and again. You can take it on holiday with you. One of the happy side effects that we've found is a lot of ours that perhaps are a bit nervous, or they want to go on holiday with the dogs and they're a bit worried, but they've taken them on holiday, a bit worried about it, have played a scent game at the new, like, holiday cottage or campsite or whatever, and the dog has settled really quickly. All of a sudden they're like, this is cool. You know,
awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. So that was like a little happy side effect. But it just shows you how you can use it, just get connection, get them settled. It sort of orientates them in the world as well. It gives them a lot of confidence. So yeah, there's lots of benefits to it. Really love it.
Brilliant. Have you got any, like, tips or games that people could have a go at doing today, sort of thing? Any, like, easy? Because people quite often, I think of people after those, you know, scent games, and they go, oh my God, they sound like really hard. Like, I've got loads to set up. Any simple, easy ideas? We are called Simple Dogs, so we try to keep things simple for everyone. Dog training shouldn't be complicated. You shouldn't have to spend 2 hours setting something up.
Totally, I'm all over that kind of stuff. It's quite funny story, very quickly, because I make little scent kits. So that, and they're designed by me, for me, right? For me. I just want something that I can, like, it's like a box about that big, little.
Fits in your pocket.
I'm like, throw it in my bag, throw it in my pocket, off I go. Get my scenting out, go and hide it. A couple of them, maybe 2 or 3, because I've, you know, a bit more advanced, but it could be just one. And off I go and I hide it. Oh, the dog goes to find them, and that's it. We go away again. I carry on my walk. I could even do it as part of a walk. And when I speak to people about these little scent kits, I said, it's not like I need, I don't have to walk around with an agility seesaw under my arm or anything like that. So it's got to be easy to set up, and it's got to be easy for you to really learn, because otherwise, if it was too complicated, we wouldn't do it. So yeah, totally simplify it. But yeah, a very basic game you could play today would be simply like get something your dog loves. It could be a toy, it could be a little bit of one of their treats or something like that, a little bit of food, a food toy. Go and kind of do a dummy, and we call them dummy drops, but like pretend you're hiding it around the room and just hide it in one little spot and then send them in to go and find it. That you could do that in the house, you could do it in the living room or something like that, but equally you could do it in your garden. It doesn't have to be that you have to go and find some like amazing like field somewhere 3 miles from your house, and then you've got to like, what way is the wind going and all that. No, you could absolutely set it up at home. Another really cool thing we like to do is we put like a little adventure, a few novel things, and just put little bits of food all around the place and just let them go and search it. That's actually really good to build confidence, but it also helps them use their nose as well. So really simple things you can do. I love the little kind of snuffle. Like I've got a little towel that's a bit like, it's not a snuffle mat, but it's got extra kind of fluffy.
Yeah.
And I just like it's quite big, about this big. And I just sprinkle really tiny bits of like puppy dog food in amongst it, and then let them have a little sniff at that. Even that is actually really valuable. It seems very, very simple, but honestly, it's a really, really, really simple game you could play. Gets your dog using their nose, starting to concentrate on using their nose, and all of a sudden their brain and their headspace goes into a completely different place. It's very calming for them, more thoughtful. So if you've got a really fast dog that finds it difficult to concentrate and like focus on anything, it helps bring all that energy into like a really simple but a part of the headspace that they're good at, and all of a sudden their energy gets channeled into something they're good at, and they're like, it's a bit like when you get someone in your class at school that just can't sit still, but actually they're a brilliant sprinter or something like that. You give them the thing that they're really good at, and you see a completely different end result. It's very much like that, I think, with scent work. If you can give your dog that to do, it can be such a benefit. And yeah, you could absolutely get started with something as simple as that.
Oh, brilliant. So would you say, so if you've got I'm going to pick on spaniels, like a really busy spaniel that you're struggling to get your focus, all they want to do is sniff on the floor, get them going on scent work.
Yeah.
To get them going with.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people actually worry that their sniffy spaniel, it's like the last thing I want to do is teach them to scent stuff because they do it already and I can't control it. In reality, teaching them scent work doesn't make them sniff more. It just gives them more. It channels the energy for sniffing into something that's useful, but also something that you can be part of. So from that point of view, it's massive. But it doesn't make them like all of a sudden, I'm just going to sniff all the time, I'm going to be in constant search mode. It just doesn't work like that. It's a bit like saying, I don't want to teach my dog that jumps, I don't want to teach them agility, because they'll just jump all the time. And we all know that agility dogs don't do that. It's like my search dogs. They don't search all the time. They know when they're employed in the task, if you like. So actually, when they're playing these games, like scent games and things like that, there are specific sort of triggers that we build in so that they know when they're playing the game and then wants to end it, so they know that's the end of the game and just go and chill out and do something else. So from that point of view, it's another kind of life skill, that on and off.
Yeah.
Understanding when they're playing the game and when they're not playing the game is a big benefit to life as well. So yeah.
Fab. So what sort of things do you use then to tell your dog it's work time or it's time to, or you're all done basically? Do you use like physical things, like maybe put something in the environment wasn't there before, or do you use words or?
So we use the way I teach it is like a combination of what we call on switch rituals. So a lot of people will ask us, how does your police dog know that they're working, for example? So for example, I'll give you just a number of things. The reason we use on switch rituals rather than just one trigger is that if one of the pieces is missing, you don't have to panic, because the other things are there as a backup. So if, for example, like if I ever got out at, in my police dog days, and I'd left my harness at home or in the office or something, I'd be like, oh, if I only had the harness as a trigger, I'd be panicking. I'm like, oh, I can't do the search because the harness is, but no, I used to use, so I'd go up to the beginning of the search, I'd get her to lie down, I would unclip her lead, I would then put a harness on, I would then give her a like hand signal, then I'd be like a few little verbal supports, you ready? Go find it, and then go find it. So there's probably 6 or 7 different pieces of a kind of start up ritual, if you like. And that's what we do. So we sort of teach something similar. Everyone's got their own style.
One moment.
Yeah, no, you're okay. You're okay.
Come on then. Yeah. She's back. Sorry, carry on.
No, you're absolutely fine. Yeah, so yeah, everyone's allowed to sort of create their own sort of on switch ritual, because I've got my own style and you would do it slightly differently. But as long as you sort of use these little kind of like a number of like mini little triggers, if you like, it tunes them in, and they very quickly understand, oh, I know we're going to play this game now. So yeah, it's something we employed with the police dogs, and we definitely teach it as part of the kind of super sniffers.
Oh, fab, really fab. So, I've asked all those questions off the top of my head. Go on. So how young can you start your dog doing scent work?
Oh, you can totally start 8 weeks old.
Yeah.
We used to start them 8 weeks old. And yeah, I loved it because, well, if you think about it, I was teaching general purpose dogs tracking and searching and things like that. So there's some really good foundation games for tracking, which are actually really good, just games to play just anyway.
Can you explain what tracking is for people that don't know what tracking is?
So yeah, so with the police dogs, we used to use 2 different styles of scent detection. Air scent, which means if anything's blowing in the wind, a bit like the Bisto kids, if anyone knows who those are. It's where scent is carried in the breeze, and they'll pick up the scent molecules, and they'll start to narrow it down to its strongest source. Tracking is more ground scent orientated. So any disturbed ground where the dog can put their nose down on the ground and follow that. It's a bit more specific. So if the track has gone in that direction and then in that direction, the dog will literally find it and go there and there. As opposed to air scent, they would have to like scan a bigger area to try and work out where that person has gone. So 2 completely different styles of nose work, if you like. So that's something we used to do with the police dogs, but it's loads of fun. It's loads of fun to do if you have a pet dog. But I can't remember what
the question was about how young can we start dogs, but I wanted to explain to people what tracking actually was. So
basically tracking is following ground scent, but we don't start it off at that point. So at 8 weeks old, we would pair, disturbed ground with reward, for example, with some really cool exercises. And you can totally do that with really young puppies, and it's great fun to do it. But even for our kind of air scenting dogs, your drugs detection dogs, you can totally introduce them to scent work, but we used to focus more in the earlier stages with building the confidence and building the connection first and foremost, and then start to introduce sort of different scents. No pressure, there's no rush to do it, but you can absolutely build in. Probably my favorite puppy games were all tracking orientated and air scent for humans, because that in the training school I did do puppy development, and it was a big chunk of what I did, but some of the puppies were getting prepared for like drug detection work or explosive detection work. But I'd say 80% of them were going to go and do general purpose work, which was like searching, all people scent orientated. So searching for people, tracking for people, looking for stolen property that had been handled by a human, all these sorts of things. So very much human scent orientated. So I kind of favor those types of things. So yeah, we used to get them to kind of build up their confidence and go in and find people, even as young, as young as 16 weeks old, something like that. We would start to build that in. Loads of fun, builds their confidence massively. Just really cool.
So would you train a dog to do air scenting as well as track scenting? Would it be like, could it do like multi-purpose, or would you particularly just you do both of each?
So our general purpose dogs would do both, absolutely. So yeah, they were expected to be able to track and to search, which is like terminology, that's like police terminology, but basically follow ground scent, but also follow air scent. So for example, I'll give you a quick example. If you had, I know you are an upstanding member of the community and you would never do this, but let's, for example, say you stole a car.
Yeah.
and you got chased by the police, and then you jumped out of the car and you ran off into the woods.
Yeah.
Chances are that the police who were chasing you have just seen you go in that direction and now have lost you. So I would go along with my dog and they'd say, look, she went that way, blonde hair, about 5'6", 5'7", running that way, right? That's what they would say to me. And so I would go to the last point that you were seen, and hopefully the dog would pick up a track, and then we would follow that track, and it would be very specific. If you were hiding in the bushes, the dog would like track to that point and then find you in the bushes. If though, for example, say they hadn't had that kind of hot pursuit of you and they'd just come across the car, but they're like, we found this car that's stolen, we don't know who's taken it, we don't know where they are, but there's woods and stuff around here, there's nothing much else. You would probably do an open search there because you're not really sure even if anyone has like walked anywhere. So you would use air scent for that. So it just depends on what you were doing as to what you would use, but the same dog would do the same job, and it was up to the handler to choose what you were going to do, which method you were going to employ. So they can definitely do both.
And would you try? So this is probably something I've heard somewhere along the way, so I don't know how true this is. Would you train a dog just to make, well, obviously humans, it isn't one scent, but would you, if you were like looking for money or looking for drugs, would that dog only have that scent that it search for, or could it do multiple different things?
So it's an interesting question, this, because my dog was trained to do cash, drugs, cash, and weapons. So three different. Now, within each of those, there's multiple scents, different, cannabis, ecstasy, heroin, cocaine, multiple scents, even within drugs alone.
Yeah.
And then you go to the weapons side of things, and it's mainly gun oil that they're looking for. Yeah. And cash, paper cash anyway, has a unique ingredient in it. So that's another scent alone. I'm led to, but there's always a bit of a discussion about, certainly in the operational world anyway, I'm getting a bit technical now, but certainly in the operational world, whether one interferes with the other, does it cause confusion? And I do believe that those dogs that were doing what we call triple purpose, the ones certainly in my force that I was in, I think they've gone back to just doing drugs and keeping them separate. Yeah. One thing that they don't mix drugs and explosives. They are always kept very separate. And the reason being that if your dog indicates something and it's cannabis, and you get the EOD from the military out to do a controlled explosion on it, they're not going to be very happy. They're not going to be very happy. You need to know. So those are always kept very separate. So in theory, yes, you can teach them to find multiple scents. Yes. They don't always do all the scents, and for very obvious reasons, explosives will be kept separate. And our cadaver dogs, so dead body detection dogs, that's what Sola used to do. Yeah. They're separate as well, so they tend to keep those kind of
There's certain ones you
But,
keep.
yeah, but in theory, yeah, they can find multiple scents, and that's what drugs dogs do essentially.
Yeah.
Even on their own, it's not just one drug they're looking for. It's a, what do you call it? It's like a catalogue, like a catalogue of scents that they can locate.
Yeah, so imagine that takes time as well, training a dog to do more, obviously more than one scent. When we think about it in what we call the pet dog world, you probably train only to one scent. So training a dog to lots of different scents.
Yeah, well, I mean, once they've got it, I think if you do it in a really kind of, you don't rush through it. Once they've got the fundamentals of one scent, to add another one is actually pretty easy.
Okay.
The trick is probably just not to rush it. So establish really good. But a lot of people will come to me and say, right, can we try another scent now? And I quite often will say, the challenge isn't in the multiple numbers of scent. The challenge is in the difficulty of the location of the scent. So you could use one scent for a long, long time. In fact, you could just do one scent. Like our general purpose dogs was human scent. So that's a whole working life on human scent alone. So so the challenge isn't the different scent. It's that some scents are easier to find than others, but it's more the challenge of the location and the kind of working as a team. That's where the real challenge is. Yeah.
Yeah, go back to that teamwork you talked about it right earlier.
Yeah, and understanding your dog and being able to read them and like just working together. It's really cool. It is cool.
It is. I found this all really, really fascinating myself, if I'm honest. I found this really interesting to listen to you talk about the sort of work you used to do and how you brought it on to bring it to everyone else, basically.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's only really relatively speaking, it's recent that I've sort of come out of that professional world as a police dog handler and now moved into kind of the pet dog world, I suppose, if you like. But I genuinely do believe that there's massive benefits to be had by doing all these sorts of things. I think focus on foundations and make them really amazing, add some scent work, and honestly, you'll have an amazing dog, amazing relationship, it's just be really cool.
You've just answered a question that I was going to ask.
Oh, have I?
I was going to ask you what your top 3 tips were. You've come out of 2. That's brilliant. I was going to ask you to share your top 3 tips, what people can do to build that connection. So
I think my number one is always like, see if you can establish and take a bit of time to learn interactive play. I would like don't just go, oh, it's interactive play, and then go, someone mentioned interactive play once, I haven't got a clue what it is. Just like learn to play so that it feels really natural, it flows, and it's really connected. I've got loads of videos on like on my free page. You'll see me playing that sort of thing. So even if you can watch someone else play and it looks really cool, and you go, oh, I'd really love to do that, that's probably it. And if you ever feel like you're playing with your dog and you're like, oh, it's so frustrating, or well, he'll play for a bit and then he disappears, or oh, well, he'll pick up the toy but then he runs off with it. There's definitely scope to make that a lot better. So it's not like you have to just live with that. So I would genuinely invest some time into making sure that your reinforcement, the reinforcements that you're going to use for your dog are really solid, really good, so that you're not, if you go to a training class, you've already got that, you know how you're going to reward them. Because a lot of people struggle when they go to like train at the beginning, because they go to a lesson and it's like, right, and reward your dog, and you're like, well, I'll just give them a bit of food. They might not even like food in that circumstance, and you actually rewarding your dog, and actually it's not rewarding to them at all. So it's really important to tune in, and you can make it amazing. There are things out there to make play amazing. There's information out there to make play amazing. That's going to be my number one. I think, make foundations amazing. And also, add some scent work. Those would be my kind of three major. If you have that, I think life would be pretty good.
Keep doing those foundations through life, eh?
Foundations through life, absolutely 100%. It's a big part of what we do. It's becoming like the bigger part of what we're doing is helping people with foundations as well. So And that's me just bringing all my kind of the best of my experience from the working dog world to sort of, people have asked me over the years, it's like, when you get the dogs out, the police dogs, they're like, how do you get them to, because the dogs will come out and they'll like look at you like that, and they're like that, how do you get the dog to do that? And really it's sort of me wanting to share how you do that with your dog, and that's where we focus a lot of our efforts as well. So foundations are amazing, keeping it simple is amazing, it's absolutely the way forward. And yeah, I think you'll do amazing when you do that.
And people do say that, they're like, I want a dog like that police dog, and that's what they do say, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've had that a few times with people. Sorry, bear me one moment.
That's all right.
Just in time, we've had a parcel delivery. So my little dog tells us that it's arrived and sends me the dog to go get it.
Brilliant, I like it.
He's loud. He's loud. He's a quick fuss of his ears and he settles back down again. He's like, brilliant. Let the door, sort it out.
Yeah.
So, interruption a little bit there. What was I going with that? So yeah, we talked about the foundations and stuff, weren't we? So I found today super interesting, and I hope, and I'm sure the viewers all have done as well. But before you go, I want you to share and let me know where, well, let everyone else know as well, where they can find out more about you, where they can find those videos as well that you just mentioned about how to do some play.
Yeah, I mean, so probably the best place to find me is Facebook, Genius K9. We've got a Facebook page. Facebook's a little bit confusing in that you have a page and then there's groups as well. We do have a free group, Genius K9 Community. That's totally free. So a lot of chat and a lot of lives go on there. I've also got a little YouTube channel. There's a few videos on there. You can absolutely go and check that out. Even if you put in YouTube Genius K9, I'm sure it'll come up. And you can sort of read a bit more about me on the website, which is geniusk9.com.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that's probably the easiest way to do it. And there's lots of videos on that Genius K9 page where, lots of little tips and nuggets and things like that, totally free, just there to sort of share the little gems that come out when we do our live chats and things like that, which is really good fun.
Oh, fabulous. Well, thank you for sharing your time and also your knowledge with us today. And
you're very welcome.
I hope to speak to you again soon.
Amazing.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.